Welcome to sportsbookreview.com. I'm Flash, and it is the 147th running of the Kentucky Derby. We cannot wait. It's amazing. Last year, I told you all, authentic. And then on the day, I go for 'Tis the Law. I won't be making that mistake this time. If you like this video, then please subscribe, press the button and ring the bell. Ring the bell means we'll notify you and you'll never miss any content again, which is a massive bonus because we've got this preview show with my special guest, BlackJack Fletcher, who is the absolute expert of the equine scene. And then on Thursday, we'll have his sidekick. We'll have the king and queen of the races because Daniel Moynier is going to join us as well. Listen, this is going to be one of those. It's a preview, but we're going to have a bar chat. We're just going to talk about the horses, see where the value is. We're going to crab some horses and we're going to build up some horses as well. First of all, it is welcome to BlackJack. BlackJack, these 6 days, I wish my life away because it takes so long.
It sure does. It does, Flash. It's a brutal wait. I just was looking, because we had the Kentucky Oaks draw today, and I'm looking for PPs for the Derby, and I'm like, they didn't draw the damn thing yet. What am I doing?
And that's something we've got to let everyone know, that obviously we're going to do the main show on Thursday after the draw because there's so many horses here that have got speed early. If they get on that inside, we could see a closer because everything may set up for it. Now, if we've got some of the speed on the outside, then we may see a little bit of a rerun of what we saw with Justify a few years ago and Authentic.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting, and you have to realize how important this draw is with 20 horses in this thing. I mean, it really matters where the speed is. I just think that we're going to see more speed up front than we did last year for sure. I don't think you're going to have a situation like Authentic where he's just walking on the front end.
Yeah, and he was given a soft time, and that was the other thing. They disrespected him totally. And you think, how can you disrespect a Bob Baffert horse? and it's like, you just want to let him do as he wants up there. So he got out, broke, got to the bend, slowed him up, and then went, right, I know I'm seeing out this trip. Now, we've got maybe 5 or 6 potential front runners. Now, I know that we'll look at the top one. It's Essential Quality, plus 225 at the moment. Cannot Crab him. Breeders' Cup winner. 2 styles of racing we've seen from him. He set off the pace. He made a mid-race move. But then last time out, he showed real guts up the straight against Highly Motivated.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was at the Bluegrass that day, and I did not expect him to go with Highly Motivated the entire time. And he did. And then when they hit the top of the stretch, Highly Motivated kind of put a neck in front. And I thought, oh, all right. But that horse, Essential Quality, he found an extra gear. I think he wants the 1.25 miles, which obviously some of them in here we don't know. I think he wants the 1.25 miles. But I'm going to try to beat him, Flash.
Yeah, me too.
I don't, I remember when Justify came into the Derby and it felt like you're not beating this horse, right? Like there's no way you're beating him.
Yeah.
I feel like you can beat Essential Quality.
Yeah, I think that I've done a few 5 contenders that you can watch on Twitter throughout the week. Today was obviously contender number 1. We start at the top of the betting, and I just think he may get tapped for toe. I think he's one of those that might just be one of those that stays. But if they get stacked up, something on the front end may get loose, and I think the favourite may well be doing his best running at the end, but it's already flown. And I mean, I like Rock the World. Unbeaten, early pace, but lengthens and quickens. So for me, I'm thinking, do I take plus 225, which I think we'll get on the day, by the way. And that's another thing we've got to add to all of this is I don't think we're going to see anything under plus 200, plus 225 on the day. But some of the others we'll mention today, I think unless they get drawn out in the car park, I think the value may well go. And Rock the World, I think he's solid at 5-1, BlackJack.
I think you're right. If you like that horse, I think 5-1 is the time to do it because I don't know that you're going to get better than that on Derby Day. And again, we talk about Essential Quality being he's the deserving favorite, right? I mean, this horse should be the favorite, but I don't think he's going to be the kind of monster 8-5, 3-5 favorite. I think 2-1 is right about where he'll settle. 2-1, 5-2, that range. Rock the World, I don't know. I think he's going to be a top 3 choice in this race. So I don't know that you're going to get 5-1. And like you said, it's hard to find fault with him either. I mean, that run out at Santa Anita was a very nice one for him. And the horses that win on the dirt at Santa Anita translate pretty well shipping east is they've got that track so thick right now that if you can put up a number at Santa Anita, you can probably put a number up at Churchill.
Yeah, and this is why we can get the favorite beat in my eyes, is because there's so much quality in depth, but not top draw quality yet. Now, we may see that in the Belmont, we may see that in the Preakness, we may see something come on. But when I'm looking at like Rock the World, you look and you've got Joel Rosario, who like loves to sit and take a stalking. Now, if this Rock the World gets just a 1 or 2 horse lead, if he doesn't get on the lead, then he's coming home strong. Big, long straight. The further he goes, the better. And at 5-1, I cannot see him being out the free.
Yeah, and at Joel Rosario at 36 years old might be doing his best riding he's ever done this year. He was unbeatable at Keeneland during that meet. He's been riding outstanding. I mean, I really think this is the best he's ever ridden.
What about another one who likes to get to the front and another one that sees the trip out well, and that's Hot Rod Charlie? I've seen a few shrewdies say to about 10-1 plus 1,000. In the 4, his number has definitely got to be inclusive.
Yeah, and I like Hot Rod Charlie. He's probably one of my top 2 picks here. I think the Louisiana Derby was a nice field. He put up a really good race there. Doug O'Neill, listen, we know Doug O'Neill knows how to do this. He's done it twice before. He's won 2 Derbies. With I'll Have Another in Nyquist. So we know he knows what he's doing here. And, you know, this horse is also a little bit of a sentimental favorite for me. You see, I've got a logo on my hat, which he wears on his saddle blanket for the president of America's Best Racing, who sponsors a lot of stuff. Stephen Panis, his 16-year-old son, unfortunately passed away in a car accident back in August. And Doug O'Neill has been helping Stephen raise money in his son's name for a scholarship at the University of South Carolina with Hot Rod Charlie. So, a sentimental pick, but I think the horses, again, I thought that Louisiana Derby field was a nice field. Some of these prep races haven't been great. I thought that was a nice field, and he's run really well.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Hot Rod Charlie, he still relish a battle. So if you're going to go and take him on, you better go past. Because if you go past and then sort of give it one of them, if you haven't got them blinkers on and you get into a battle, he looks alongside and says, okay, here we go. And with the straight, the way it is at Churchill, you're like, you better see the trip out and you better have a heart.
I love it when we're talking about 3-year-olds. I love a horse that has gone eye to eye with someone and found something, right? I don't trust horses that haven't been tested yet here, because you're going to be tested in this race one way or the other, right? I mean, even with Authentic, who had that lead, there was a point when Tiz the Law got eye to eye with him, and Authentic kept going. And I like a horse that's been tested, and he, like you said, I think he kind of relishes it. I think he likes that, that battle.
Yeah, well, he certainly showed that, because it looked like there was a whole wall of horses coming to beat him last time out, and he just sort of just dug in and said, right, let's have a go here. The next one I want to talk about is Super Stock, because this horse is flying way under the radar. We've got obviously Ricardo Santana Jr., but Steve Asmussen's having a cracking year. So around the plus 1,200, some people, listen, it's not for me, to be honest, but it's my job to obviously put this type of horse up, because people are going to have their little bit of value. But I think he may well just be out of his depth.
I completely agree. Super Stock, you can have him. I think the odds are fair. I think he'll go off somewhere around 10 or 12-1 here, but this is not a horse that I have really any interest in. I think you're right. Steve is doing a great job, and he's obviously, got some really nice horses this year, but I just can't get excited about this one. I mean, I know he got the win in the Arkansas Derby, but at the end of the day, I think it's a little bit different here. I mean, Caddo River set a pace in that race that, he couldn't sustain. The thing kind of fell apart. I don't think that's the case here. And even if the pace does fall apart on Saturday, I think there's better closers than Super Stock to pick up those pieces.
Yeah, and that's where I think to myself, first of all, let's not crab it as bad as we could, but the Arkansas Derby was probably the weakest of the prep races for me.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
Also, if he wants to have that style of running behind a wall of horses, he is going to need them up front to not only stop, but split And if you get something coming down the outside, I don't think he's going to get the luck in running neither. So that means they may have to change tactics. So for me, you can have him. But the next horse, I am going to sit here and talk about all day long, even though Rock the World is probably my best win option. This next horse, I will not. It will be in my pocket. It will definitely be in my pocket. And let's look at Todd Pletcher. Yep. Irad Ortiz Jr. So there we've got grade 1 jockey trainer combination. Then we go for Known Agenda. Grade 1 winning horse in the Florida Derby. And I've done a piece, and you'll see this horse on Friday from me on social media. But I see an experience. I see a horse that wants to please. And the further he goes, the further he wants to stick his neck out. It's almost like he's had 6 or 7 races, but they're only starting to get to the bottom of him now.
Yeah, I love this horse. This is probably my top pick to win this race. I think the Florida Derby was the best prep race we've seen leading up to this Kentucky Derby. That was a really nice field. And, it's funny. I watched him. I was at Tampa for the Sam F. Davis, and he did not run well there. And I remember Irad Ortiz telling Todd Pletcher, we need to put blinkers on him. And they stuck him back in an allowance race. He wins there. Then he wins the Florida Derby. And he looks like a different horse with blinkers. But like you said, it's so funny to watch, because if you go back and watch that Florida Derby, he is still green as hell. I mean, this horse has more in him that if they can get him focused, he might have the highest ceiling in this group. Todd Pletcher. Yeah, he could be. And Todd Pletcher is going to do everything he can to have him ready. Irad Ortiz is the best rider in the world right now, and I don't think it's particularly close. I think that this horse has a lot left in the tank, and I like the fact that, like you said, he's raced 6 or 7 times, which, nowadays there's plenty of horses in this field who are running 3 races.
Yeah.
I like that he's a little seasoned, and I like the fact that he likes to sit that mid-pack trip. So if a few of these horses go, he doesn't need this to totally fall apart. He just needs a little bit of room there. And I think that this is a horse that you could catch at probably, I don't know, I think he'll go off somewhere around 6, 7, 8 to 1 on Derby Day.
Yeah,
and the value at
12 and 14s. 14s in one place I've seen. So if you go over to SBR odds, you'll see all the different
You're not
books. There will be disparity. But you've got to get it now. If I see this horse drawn 4 to 8, 4 to 9, it's going to be perfect, because he'll let the speedsters go. He'll pull himself into the rail, and then front 3, 4, maybe 5, couple will go wide trip. He will have targets on their back. And you say about greenness, it's unbelievable that a horse can wander and yet still put distance between himself and the chasers. I mean, you watched the way in the last 100 yards, he sticks his neck out and wants to eat the ground. It's like, and I'm like looking, I've gone, wow, you will do for me, because about 3 furlongs down, he's down on the inside, he's got 1 on his outside, and 2, he's running up a blind alley. All of a sudden, he puts himself in the position to go win the race. He has a bump, probably 2 down, and then quickens and seals the race like that. And now, if he gets that type of trip, I see that that's where the favourite will be vulnerable, because he will not match the turn of foot.
I agree. I think that this horse is probably the strongest horse to close this race, because, listen, we'll have some deep closers making a run, like a bat out of hell at the end of this thing, but they're going to be too far back. The nice thing about Known Agenda is he's not going to sit that far back. So, he's got a closing kick, but he doesn't necessarily need to pick off half the field.
No, if he sits 3, 4, 5 back on the rail and just sits there and just quietly. I saw Gronkowski do it. We trained Gronkowski before he came over to Chad Brown. He did exactly that. He sat, weaved his way, let everyone else get panicky, and obviously it was only justified. Obviously kept him well away. But
and
I'm looking at
there's nobody down the stretch better at getting more out of a horse than Irad Ortiz. There's just not.
So then you've got jockey-horse partnership, where you've got a jockey that gives you everything, but you've got a horse that wants to please you, BlackJack. Yep. So I'm saying, listen, I would say I don't care. I do not care about waiting and getting half the odds, because I think this is your steamer. This is your horse that you might be able to get 1,200 plus 1,200 plus 1,000, but I think you're single figures on the day.
100%. 100%. This horse does not go off 10-1. No chance.
Right, so obviously then you need to be pressing the button, and that's why you need to be watching this preview show. There's a couple of others in here. We've got to mention Medina Spirit, not because of Medina Spirit, but because of his trainer.
Yeah. I listen, this horse is going to get bet because it's the only Baffert in the field, and Bob has just lost, 4 or 5 2-year-olds over the last 2 years on the Derby Trail. But I mean, it's a nice horse, but I can't see it, right? I mean, this is a $35,000 horse, which Bob Baffert normally doesn't have. Nice pedigree, right? I mean, but Rock Your World dominated this horse at Santa Anita. I mean, it wasn't close. I think it was a 4 or 5 length win, but
and
really
going away, that's where I go back to Rock the World. And opening up, by the way.
Yeah, right.
It could have been that, and we'll show all the clips on Thursday when we got Danielle here. So we'll give everyone a visual of their last prep races coming into this the first leg of the Triple Crown. But I'm looking at Medina Spirit and think this is an owner's day out.
Yeah, right. I could. If you're playing like supers, maybe you use this horse in the back end, but I can't see him winning this race. I mean, I would be stunned if he won this race.
What about Bubonic? Everyone wanted to talk about it because it was obviously such an unbelievable run last time out. But at 14-1, are they making that up?
I mean, it's insane, Flash. This horse went off at 72-1 in a bad wood field. I mean,
I was going to go egg and spoon.
This was terrible, this field. And listen, credit to Kendrick Carmouche and the horse for getting the win and getting in this race. But, I mean, that was such a bad wood. And not to mention, the wood in general is not a good prep race for the Kentucky Derby. This field was subpar for even that. This would be like a Giacomo win if this horse wins this race. Like
it won't happen.
Can't see it. And
won't happen.
Honestly, 16-1 is ridiculous here. This horse is not going off 16-1.
This is the type of horse I can see going off at 33s, plus 3,300. I think 100%. He's going to be friendless on the day. I think he's another one of them where he's already won his Derby. When you go off at 70-1, you do not win Kentucky Derbies.
Nope, doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
Now, there's a few shrewd judges. I'm not one of them that wants to be with this horse, but the Casse horse, Soup and Sandwich.
I like Soup and Sandwich. I liked the horse in the Florida Derby. I thought he was live there. The problem that I see is, the horse has improved, right? It's a trajectory you want to see. Each race has gotten better than the last. My problem is I think the horse is probably due for a bounce because I don't know how you can improve enough off that Florida Derby to defeat not only Known Agenda, who beat you that day, but now you've got to beat Rock the World, Hot Rod Charlie, Essential Quality. I mean, this horse would have to take such a massive step forward that I think it's more likely he goes the other way and takes a little bit of a bounce off that Florida Derby.
Do you have a favorite prep race?
It's the Florida Derby for me. I think it's always the best one. We talked about it's a grade 1 stakes. I think it's the best field general. This year in particular, I think it's the best field that was put together in these prep races. I mean, Greatest Honor would have been one of the top 3 choices in this race if he was in it. That horse was really talented. Soup and Sandwich ran well. Known Agenda was there. Baffert had shipped Spielberg in for the race, his first Florida Derby shipper. I think that was probably the best race here, and it's why I'm so high on Known Agenda. I like the Bluegrass too. We talked about this before we started, but the Bluegrass was just a 2-horse race start to finish. So it's hard to draw a lot out of that.
Okay, so let's go back to the Bluegrass. And we had highly motivated, run of the race, up on the rail. They set off, scolded cats. There's only 2 from a long way out. Mm-hmm. Now, why have we got one that's sort of plus 225 and one around like plus 800? Is there anything really between them?
I don't think Highly Motivated wants the distance. That would be my concern. I think Highly Motivated is a horse that is best suited to a mile. I don't know that. I mean, if you watch that stretch run in the Bluegrass, you can make a case that Essential Quality had more in the tank, and I think he did. But Highly Motivated was slowing down. I mean, that horse didn't have it, and now you're going and adding distance to it. And I think there'll be more speed in this race than there was in the Bluegrass. It just doesn't shape up as a race I think he can win.
Yeah, I left him out, to be honest.
Of
all the horses that I've covered, all my contenders, I actually left him out. And again, I think he's a miler.
Yeah.
Because too much speed. He's going to go out and get burnt out. And then when I think the petrol tank empties a bit quicker on him than it does on some of the others. And listen, I could be wrong, especially if they go no gallop, but I don't think they're going to be allowed to stack them up, to be honest. Okay, so Thursday is going to be after we get gate positions. I'm going to have myself, we're going to have BlackJack, and we're going to have Danielle. At the moment, I think we're both in agreement that we take the price on Known Agenda, and I'm taking the plus 500 on Rock the World. I think that I've got a bet to nothing there. And the others, I really see that you're probably going to get a bigger price come Friday, come Saturday.
Yeah, I think you will too. I mean, I think the real value here is if you like Known Agenda, there's just no chance you're getting 12-1. That you won't get 10-1. I think he probably goes off somewhere between 5 and 8-1 on Derby Day. So there's definitely value there. I think Hot Rod Charlie is probably a little bit of value there too. I think he'll go off a little lower than that. And listen, if you like Soup and Sandwich, if you think that horse can improve, it won't be 25-1 Derby Day. That horse has got a little bit of a cult following thing going with him. He's not going to go off at 25-1. Probably closer to 15 would be my guess. So if you like him, I'd bet him now. Same thing with Medina Spirit. People are going to bet the Baffert horse just because it's Baffert.
Not for me.
I won't, but people will. And so if you like Medina Spirit, probably take the 16.
Okay, well, join us on Thursday because we will be saying our official picks. We'll go for 1-2. We'll give you the trifecta. And I'll tell you what, I fancy Danielle and BlackJack will probably go for the super as well. So listen, join us. Thanks for following. Press a thumbs up on your way out. And if you like this video, please subscribe, press the button and ring the bell. BlackJack, 3 more sleeps. And I will see you again on Thursday with the Queen of Racing, Danielle Moynet. See you soon. Take care.